Stanley, I know that you're older than I am.
But I can still outdrive you.
You're going to set your sights higher than that. But you've won major championships. You've won tournaments. You made a living out of the game for years. You're highly respected. You're in the Hall of Fame for golf in South Africa. You could say you've done it all. Any regrets?
I could have played better, in the sense there was a time when I was number 2 in the world and was in the top 7 for 10 years, but I got sick at the prime of my career, and I regret not having the opportunity to have had those 8-9 years of that setback, because when you take 2 years off a tour, people don't realize you're losing 5 years. That experience of playing constantly at that high level, you lose. You got to get it back. So it took me 5 years, and I never was the same player. When I came back to competing, I didn't feel the same. I didn't have the same motivation. And that's fine, but so it sounds like a sorry story, but I regret not. I was just reaching that level of really dominating, and it was fleeting. And I didn't win the US Open. That was like one of my biggest dreams. My dad's and mine.
Would that have been it for you, to win the US Open?
Would have been amazing. Because with my dad, we used to talk about it, the majors, and Dad always said to me, gee, wouldn't that just be an absolute amazing feat? And I was close twice. And the interesting one was my dad had just died, passed away in '86, and I had not been well, and I had not competed. And on his deathbed, he said to me, Sal, go and win that Open. And I was shocked, because I didn't want to go back. And it was in March when he passed, and he said, you got to go. So I teed it up in June, and I had my brother on the bag. I didn't have a caddy. I had my brother. He's never caddied in competition. And my brother ended up caddying for me, and we almost won. We lost in a playoff on a Monday.
You're kidding.
18-hole playoff, and Donovan was on the bag.
And who beat you?
Jane Geddes. Yeah.
And she was pretty much exactly the same age. Wasn't she as you?
A few years younger.
Was she? Because she played, you two played together for years and years and years.
A phenomenal competitor. But the memory was Donovan on my bag, because you got to understand, he was so nervous.
Yeah.
And I had to teach him how to caddy, how to rake the bunkers, and how to be. And I said, Donovan, that bag, you mustn't put in front of the players, because they can see it when they putt. And the funny thing is, all week long, there was something not right about him. And I finally figured it out on the 18th hole. My brother never took the bag off his shoulder unless to put the bag down so I could take the club out. He put it back on he walked 18 holes with a bag on his shoulder. It was hysterical, but he had the most marvelous time. I might be talking a lot about this, but you gotta appreciate this relationship, because he's like 3 years younger than me, and I'm like, you can't caddy as, on the tour. But he begged me, so he went out, and he arrived at this event, and the caddies were furious, because he had taken one of their bags. And the caddies are giving him what for all week. He would come back to the room and tell me. So Donovan said to them, listen, it must be incredible life. And he talked to the number 1 caddy at the time, Bill Buskey. He's caddying for Beth Daniel. And he said to him, come on now, what's it like to be a champion caddy, and what does it feel like? And Bill was going on about what it was like. And he said, and walking down that 18th hole with lined fairways with people, what a feeling. And he said to my brother, well, you'll never experience that. So here we are on the 18th hole on Sunday, and Bill's watching my brother coming up the 18th hole. So my brother walked over to him. He said, now I know what it feels like. Just those memories.
What golfer, male or female, would you pay money to go and watch?
Dale Hayes. Oh, you know, it's interesting there. There's one golfer that fascinates me, and that's Bubba Watson. I would just love to follow him for 18 holes and see how he gets around a golf course, because that is the most bizarre way of playing golf, but it's so exciting. It's hit or miss.
I'm actually thinking about because they play very well, not because they're weird.
Well, he is exciting. He's brought a whole new level to the game. But, you know, I do go to the Ned Bank every year, and it's so wonderful to watch these guys in person. And, you know, I just, I love to watch good golf swings, classic swings like Charles Schwartzel. I mean, Louis, I love Louis Oosthuizen's rhythm. When you look on the screen and you look at our guys, their rhythm and their styles are so classic. But, you know, there are so many great players. But for me, I'm an older generation, so I would love to play with Gary. Gary was very instrumental in my career and all of ours, and he's at a time now where he's lovely to be around.
He's wonderful, isn't he?
Yeah, he's
such fun.
He's such fun, and I mean, he lived a life of such competition, and I love being around him during these years, and he's still so competitive and just wants to still be so good and so motivating.
It's actually quite interesting. His father was called Laughing Harry, and Gary's become exactly the same. He loves to laugh. He's terrific to be around. The greatest lady golfer ever, was it Nika or Mickey Wright?
When you look at the statistics, the greatest woman of all time in her record is Kathy Whitworth. I think she's won more tournaments than her male counterparts.
Yeah, correct.
Great competitor.
Not as many majors, though.
No, not as many majors. But then came the eras, and I would have to say Mickey for her performances, but her style. Kathy for her wins, but Annika, she became such what I would consider their golfers and champions. I think Annika is a champion. The way she has performed and how she conducted herself. So she would be my favorite.
How about in terms of the male players? Tiger, Jack Nicklaus?
Well, that's a tough one. How can you not think of what Tiger has done, and what an incredible golfer in the sense of how he took it to the next level? A great disappointment to me in the sense that someone could lose their way that had done so much, and I'm not talking about his off course. I'm talking about him as a player. It breaks my heart to see him play golf now. He's not happy. He's lost his way, and to me, I think it's sad. Jack has been around forever, and he's a great statesman, and he's done so much for the game. And I like that old Bears record to stand.
I get the feeling now that the players don't look like they're enjoying themselves. They don't look like they're having fun. Tiger looks miserable. You know, Charles Schwartzel doesn't look like he's having fun on the golf course. And so many others. And in our day, it seemed, I mean, we love the game. You know, we love to play the game. We love to compete. Do you think it's changed?
Absolutely.
Is it money?
I think it's, well, that's definitely part of it. But I also think it's how our youngsters are being promoted. And they don't really have to think for themselves anymore. They've got fronts with their agents.
Yeah.
And their personalities aren't coming through. They can't make a step without their agents. And it's unfortunate. And I think, you know, there comes a time when, you know, our game is suffering. And you got to look hard at what the problem is. I mean, you watch television today, and these chaps look homogenized. They all look the same. There's no fight in them. And I think it's basically their lifestyles that are led for them. they're not making any decisions. And it's unfortunate. And I hope it changes because it's killing the game.
Let's change tack and talk about equipment. You've kind of gone through probably 3 completely different periods in your life. When you started golf, you were a young girl and you probably used very light ladies golf clubs. Then when you were playing on the tour, you'd have completely different golf clubs. And now you've probably changed greatly again. How has your equipment changed from you in your heyday to the Sally Little of now?
Well, it's funny you say that because my clubs, when I started, were my father's. He never bought new clubs, so I grew up with very heavy clubs. He cut them off and that. The family didn't have any money for brand new clubs, but I started golf, we all had all clubs, Wilson staffs. We always looked for the 1968 blades. And it's funny, I just handed in my 1968 blades to the Southern African Hall of Fame Museum. And when I took a look at those clubs, I said, how did I play? They look like butter knives. They were so tiny, but in the center is a rusted circle. You had to hit it flush, otherwise you'd miss the ball. I've gone through amazing equipment changes, but I don't change that much. It's difficult for me. But what I found was, Dale, I thought, I needed to go to lighter clubs and all this stuff. My type of swing slows down because I need to feel weighting. And I got lighter and I got shorter. And I'm happy to say that I've gone back to a set of forged heads for the first time in 18 years. And I feel like I've come home. I'm starting to shape the shots that I thought I couldn't do anymore. And, Adams Golf has signed me, and they've got the most beautiful forged head. And I'm going back to steel, lightweight steel, in the shafts. I mean, people don't understand. You've got to get them balanced right for your type of golf swing. And I feel like I'm young again. I can't wait to go play.
The old question, if you could choose a 4-ball, either people that are alive or have passed on, and you could play at any golf course in the world, which 4 players would you play with and where would you play?
My first choice would be my father, Percy, Bobby Locke, who I did play with when I was a child many times. He was a great friend of my dad's. And then I would love to have played with Byron Nelson.
And then just to finish off with Sally, the Sally Little of 2014, what's left for you?
I feel very fortunate, Dale, in the sense to have had the life I had. I chose my life. I was the master of my destiny. To be able to have done that on my own, I look back and I'm like, who was that young girl? But now I feel like I've got another career, another life coming back here. And I hope to make a difference and show women in this country how valuable this game is. Use it as a metaphor. So that's one of my goals. And then also to really help the next champion coming, the next young woman. Come talk to me.